Yeah, it's a bad time to be a graphic designer, huh? Hello, my name is Rigmarole, and I like to stream sometimes. Today, I wanted to talk about AI. It's a hot topic that is showing up on all of my social media. It's super annoying. It's on all the podcasts that I listen to. As a graphic designer, it is horrifying to see how much AI is taking over. And it's something that I have personally had to deal with, like in my career. My stance on AI, I'm against it. And that's generative AI. So used for art, for writing, for doing your homework. But like a lot of times people will talk about AI and maybe they're talking about robotics, like things that are automated. Your Roomba has AI. Self-driving cars have AI. Those are to like make your life easier, and that's all great. More of that. But what is taking over the world is the generative AI stuff, like Midjourney, ChatGPT. What's the one? What's the Twitter one? Grok. Gross. So that is something that I will admit, like back in 2022, I did play with Midjourney because it was new. It was a new shiny toy. Like, what's this? Ooh, can I use it somehow in my workflow? There was a project that I worked on that I said, oh, generate some images in this style, and I used it as like a starting point for like the overall color, the lighting for something that I would then draw digitally myself. So I had it generate like building shots that were colorful. This was when Midjourney was still like new and confusing, and like how does it work? I think they had it available for free during this time. And so I took a real photo of a location with architecture, and then using the AI art as inspiration, then I made this. Obviously not the exact image. I didn't trace over anything. It was something that I referred to, like it was on another monitor to look at. Now that years have passed and I know how awful AI art generators are, like Midjourney, and how they are a plagiarism machine. I don't think I knew that back in 2022. It's and the energy waste that it is. All the buzzwords that people are talking about. No, I do not use Midjourney anymore. My bosses were saying like, oh, well, this thing that you're making, just put it into Midjourney and print it. Like, what? Like the actual generated image, make that the final thing? Like we at least had pushback to say like, well, maybe we use it as inspiration or for like comps to share with the client, but it's not actually something that gets printed as the final thing. But so it was getting scary where like something that had so much imperfection and something that was so like clearly imperfect was good enough. Just, yeah, print it. That's fine. And so I have learned, I have grown. I am a little ashamed that I used AI to in my process like that, but now that I know what it is, I don't do it anymore. And I think that's pretty typical for a lot of designers. Anyone who doesn't have that illustration skill on their own, or maybe doesn't have the eye. There's probably a lot of designers that will look on Pinterest for something for inspiration and not even realize that it's AI that they're looking at if you don't have those toggles turned off. But yeah, I wanted to go over a couple videos that I have come across that have to do with AI and their impact on art and artists, and how artists can use AI, and whether or not it is something that should be done. The first video that I want to share comes from a cooking YouTuber whose name is Anne Reardon. She owns the channel How to Cook That, and she does more than cook. She will oftentimes do like cooking fails and experiment with food, and She is really well known for making these like unique cakes and gingerbread houses that are her own design. So she was showing that she had always kind of used inspiration to make her gingerbread houses. And now, with the tools available to her,
if AI image generators could help come up with something unique and new and never seen before in an amazingly creative gingerbread house.
So, yeah, and this is today, when did she upload this? 4 days ago, that she's using these image generators. And it's also, as she goes on, she explains that it's kind of a teaching moment that, like, these generators don't really do a good job. They're using their information from things that are not really what she's looking for. That obviously they don't get proportions right. But you may have noticed the like to dislike ratio. And this video, as I was watching it, because I just put it on, I don't look at the like and dislike ratio when I put something on, I just watch it. And as I had it on and the video went, I kind of had that thought of, I wonder how many dislikes this has. And because I have the Bring Back YouTube dislike plugin. So you have that detail. And yeah, sure enough, it is quite a lot of dislikes. And I can't say for sure that it's because of the AI generation that she used, that she does eventually use the AI generation tool to create a template for her own gingerbread house. So she does end up making the thing. She's using it as inspiration, kind of like what I was saying with me 3 years ago, that it was an inspiration tool and then I made the thing. So she is doing that with her gingerbread. She is taking the generated image and making a physical gingerbread house that she can touch and photograph. And it resulted in a lot of dislikes. And it is cool looking. Can I show the finished gingerbread house? So it's lovely. If you look closely, yes, you can see all the telltale signs. Hi, Bear. But, she has the craftsmanship. She knows what she's doing. And so that's where it's a little in the gray area. She did physically make the gingerbread house herself. It was inspired by generative AI. And I think that just sits wrong with a lot of people right now. It's hard to just tell somebody that they can't use this tool that's available to them, but ethically, I think most people are against it. And I'm against it now that I know how bad it is. It's icky to use it anymore. So moving on to another artist, on Reddit, I found, this was months ago, it was a year ago, an artist posted their bleach art. And I will say, he did this by hand. And he's got the process, how he did it, each little bit at a time, bleaching. I didn't know you could do this with, is it a t-shirt or a sweatshirt? That you take bleach and you can draw with it and make it kind of a negative image. Very cool. Kind of makes it this flesh tone, copper brown. And all the comments, super positive, great skill, outstanding. I can't believe that you can do this with bleach. I'm awe-stricken. But I kind of did look closely at it. And, there's the telltale signs. But he literally did it by hand. And, yes, I know today you can fake things like this with AI anyways, but this was a year ago when things were still early. And so there was another comment that said there's telltale signs this is AI generated. It's not centered. No artist would cut off half an arm for no reason. The details are all wrong. The entire piece is asymmetrical. Your wings are different on each side. The little circles are different. The armor details are different. These aren't things artists just do. The closer you look, the more you see it. Now, did you generate AI and paint it with bleach? Did you just have AI art printed? I have no clue. I don't care. I just have my doubts this design was made by a human. To which the artist replied, oh no, I didn't actually make the design. I just found an image on Pinterest and just bleach painted it into my shirt. So he did do it himself. He used AI art as his inspiration. Now, he may not have known that it was AI art. Like I said earlier, on Pinterest, you can do a search for something and it comes up with so many different results. You don't know which ones are AI if you don't have the eye for it. So he could have just like found this, liked it, downloaded it, said, I'm doing this, and not had that discerning eye. So that's, I don't know. Is he in the wrong? He did a great job. He did a great job of turning that piece of AI art into a bleach sweatshirt. Overall, honestly, it had 17,000 likes, and it wasn't, most people did not realize that it had those touches of AI. So he won. He won on that one. All good. He did not get downvoted to hell like Anne Reardon did. It's just kind of one of those things that is, like I said earlier, a gray area. I don't know what the right answer is aside from whatever feels right in your heart ethically. There was one more artist that I have loved for a long time, his art. God, was this a year ago now too? Let's see if I can find it. Background. So this artist, Hontor Art, a lot of his artwork are these kind of stylized figurines that he has hand painted. They're beautifully painted. He has incredible details. I believe he does the clay figurines, sends them out to somebody who makes a mold out of them, and then most of these end up being resin casts that he then hand paints. So they're all like his designs. They're just easier to make multiples of. So these are all his designs he has come up with. He has a very clear style. So this video, May 27th, earlier this year, it's his art, and he put it into a video generative AI to have it move. He loved the idea of visualizing his figurines to move. And he even says he realizes what bothers, I realized what bothers me about this anti-AI art movement. Imagine a time when taxis replaced horses. Of course, one can only sympathize with the people who were left without work. But now add to this picture the following. Cabbies who use horses gather in gangs and persecute any cab driver who dared to learn to drive a car instead of a horse, and they called it protecting their interests. So he's talking about like, you can't stop progress, things will move forward, and you don't want to be somebody who's still trying to have horses when the world is turning to cars. I did kind of anticipate a lot of the comments are negative. I was a huge fan of your art, but now it feels wrong knowing that you support what is actively attacking the community. It's incredibly disappointing to see this kind of take from you. I'm sorry, but I don't agree. It infuriates me that my work can be skimmed from the net without my permission to train AI. So he definitely was getting a lot of negative interactions. Even though it is his art that he was animating, the movement and like what the video generation tools were using was taken from other artists and other videos stolen, you know. So it's a shame because he does say in his comments that he does not like his figurines anymore. I only sit down to work when it's a matter of life and death, when I really have nothing to eat, when our cat needed an operation, when I needed to pay the electricity bill. But I am still happy when I do some work for myself. So he has found new love of his art in playing with these videos. And that was something I hadn't really considered, is something to kind of feed into people's own inspiration for their own work. Maybe, yes, looking at AI generated images inspire you to do things that otherwise you felt like you were in a rut to make. So it is a shame that you had to resort to generative AI and that there weren't other methods to do that. Like, obviously, to be able to make a video like this without generative AI, you'd have to have an animator, you'd have to have somebody to hire. And if this video inspired him to make more figurines so that he can support himself, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing that he had to resort to something that's a plagiarism machine? It's such a gray area. So I have been like, ooh, like it's such an awkward topic. I think it I kind of have to step back and be like, if it makes him happy. I love his art. It's a shame that he doesn't like his art anymore, and it was nice that he got inspired again from it, but it is disappointing that he used generative AI. And it's not like he's generating new figurines that don't exist. It was generating motion on something that he had created. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of my question to the world, is like, can artists be inspired by awful things like this by generative AI? It's, like I said, I have used it in the past before I knew how awful it was. And I have heard other artists too. That was years ago also. That there was one graphic designer that I had talked with when we were like, oh, have you seen Midjourney, what it can do? And like, oh, it's crazy. And she was like, oh yeah, I use it all the time to generate pugs. And so, I'm sure she feels different now. I don't know. But it was something that a couple years ago was kind of fun and new. And now it's icky. I don't know. It's something that I have decided myself never to touch again. And if I can figure out how to weed out any AI art as inspiration, then I'll do that. It's scary now, though. There's a lot of art that I come across, and I do get tricked. And until I see it come up in the subreddit for, is this AI? And I'll look at it and say, nah, this looks real. And all the comments are like, oh yeah, there's this wrong, it has these artifacts. And it's like, oh, well, it got me. So even today, trying to get inspiration from real things, I think you run the risk of you're going to be inspired by AI even if you don't realize it. So it's scary. But yeah, I don't know. Does anybody deal with this on a regular basis? Is there anything that you think we can do about it as artists and graphic designers? It's a scary world that we're going into, and I don't know how to navigate it. Anyways, let me know. And I will catch you in a little bit.